To be able to answer that question for people in every state, in every city, is my goal. And same thing with churches. If they have a parking space, they have space for another house to go in. California just passed laws making that a new thing that's legal. And I want everyone to know that. And
Welcome, everyone, to the Tiny Home Lady Show. I am so excited to be joined here with my dear friend, Ryan Rossi.
hello, I'm Ryan Rossi with the Housing Solutions Podcast. Welcome to today's show.
And before we dive into that content, let's hear a word from our sponsors. Mac Insurance is the go-to insurance company for the tiny home industry. Their insurance coverage includes personal property and liability, just like a real homeowner's policy would. Whether it's self-built, manufacturer-built, certified, or not certified, Mac Insurance can get you the coverage you're needing. That's why we chose them 4 years ago, and every year we're so grateful that our tiny home is covered by Mac Insurance. They will build a policy that is customized to you and your tiny home lifestyle. Precision Temp on-demand hot water heater. They provide endless hot water. The last thing you want to do is run out of hot water in the middle of that shower or doing dishes. They also are RV certified, which also means mobile certified. So any of that product that they built, they made sure that it's been well tested for vibration. And there's also no pilot light. So that means it's super energy efficient and the installation is easy. They also offer $75 off for their RV 550 and $250 off for their TwinTemp. Water Plantier is a wonderful modular scalable wastewater treatment and recovery system that gives you the chance to put your wastewater treatment system anywhere. There's no infrastructure required. It stands alone on its own self, and it starts out at $9,000 to $25,000, which is a small price compared to many septic systems. Okay, Ryan, so we are so excited to be here with each other because I feel like you and I have found each other like in a magnets or, two ships passing in the night that have a lot of passion around connecting people to housing solutions.
It's true. It seems like it's one of the biggest problems in the world right now, finding housing, affordable housing. And I think we met at the Tiny House Show. And from there, we can't escape each other really, because it seems like we both want to be mouthpieces for everyone. And it's every time I open my phone, I see Lindsay's going live, and I'm like, I want to be live with her.
I bet there's an archetype of advocacy in you. I'm sure of it, just like it is in me. And so, what are the things? Let's give me some of your history. And I know some about it, but other people don't know. The thing I love most about that I'd like you to share is your journey through the world of construction and built environment and even disaster relief, all that kind of stuff, really will help give us texture to what we're talking about here.
Sure, and that was a good summary. I'm fourth generation California contractor, and mainly did site work, underground work, and so I understand building a building from the ground up. I've done residential as well, and that's kind of how I pivoted toward the modular house building and disaster responses during COVID, when kind of the project went on pause. We were in LA doing projects, and we saw, the number of homeless people growing. Every time we would show up to our project, there would be someone sleeping there, either on the project or inside the building, and it was just readily right in front of our face every single day. And so I started thinking, if there was something that I could do with the skill set that I had. And that's how we first met at the Tiny House Show. Is I purchased an insulated unit that looked similar to a shipping container, and we ended up putting a shower, toilet, bathroom in it, putting siding on it, making it look like a house, and yet it was still extremely affordable, under $30,000. and we took it to that tiny house show in Del Mar, and people really were interested in it. And so that got me back in 2020 on that path of building the most rapidly deployable, civilized, cost-effective structure. And that's kind of become my passion now. That company is still moving forward, Foldum, and that's one of the things we'll talk about later about their booth at the International Builders Show. It's a solution for a lot of people, but there's so many other solutions, and that's the kind of thing that I'm going to be doing for the next year or so of my life, is working on Folding Project, which is going to be highlighting the solutions that are working right now, the housing solutions that are not traditional, that are cutting edge, that are affordable, and that you can actually go out and purchase right now. And talking with people who are actually doing projects that are working, um, and highlighting them, because there's so many things that are happening that it's even difficult for us to keep up on all the changing laws, all the laws for the different regions and different sections. And if it's hard for us to keep up with, the average person is must be almost impossible. And so providing that service, providing that information is something that I think that you and I are going to be talking about endlessly over the next year or so, and I'm looking forward to it.
It's so true. We came at it, a different. I'm actually putting together a one woman show, so I'm really going back into the story time of my life, from being an army brat. I had to move around a lot. So, there's some layers there of like childhood trauma of saying goodbye to friends, but also really good aspect of knowing how to organize and keep less things in your life, right? Simplicity. And so there's kind of a lot of different aspects of me and how people come to the need for housing. And that's really the cross section. A lot of people have the optics, at least with Foldum, very much focused on the unhoused, disaster relief, event housing, things like that, but maybe not the $200,000 tiny home. Or let's just say the home that needs to be airlifted, craned into the backyard and be, considered as real estate, which is modular. So we get into these different verbiage, whether it's acronyms or the names, and those of us in the industry can kind of have blinders on, and you end up like either building RVs or modular or manufactured. But where you and I feel like blend is understanding all of them and helping guiding people on the direction. Oftentimes I get into questions like, do you want it to move? Why do you want it to move? Do you want it to appreciate property value? Where do you live? All of these basic questions really need to be answered right up front. So then it kind of guides them into a direction. And of course, we know there's future things coming with the Tiny Home Industry Association and standards that they're working on, but that's going to be a couple of years out. So right now, today, what's available? So let me know a little bit more. Something caught my eye. You heard it a little bit more. International Building Show. Tell me more about that, because that is something I'm joining you all at Foldum at time of recording. We're going to that. And every year it happens in Las Vegas. Like we're talking the big top for Builders Show. Have you ever been there?
Yes, we like to go every year as contractors. It's been in Vegas, it's been in Florida, and it's where the latest and greatest is happening with construction. And it's the biggest light construction show in the world, and people come from over 100 countries. There's usually over 70,000 visitors. It's at the Las Vegas Convention Center this year, and they have multiple rooms. And if you were to go to every booth and really look at what they have, you could barely do it in 3 days. Just walking the whole thing, turn your pedometer on, because you're going to be doing a full marathon over the 3 days if you go all 3 days. But I recommend making a
Which I
plan.
will.
Yeah, yeah. It's a sensory overload if you have any sort of interest in the construction industry, housing industry, or the latest in construction technology. It's so exciting, and I recommend making a plan of like, okay, you have to see certain things, go to that, because if you think, oh, I'll see it because it's there, you might very well miss it. It is there's so much going on, and this actually is the first year that I'm helping Foldum be an exhibitor there. and they have a booth, and we'll put in the description of this show a link to where you can get a free expo pass. If you want to go to the show, might as well click under the pass and get a free one to go. They give us unlimited, so you'll
And
want to take advantage.
just a note there, that's $175 value, everyone. There's a lot of information you're going to fill out for that, like a full-on survey, but it's worth your time. Think a good 5 minutes to maybe 10 minutes of filling out information, because that's how they get their information. That's how they can attract people from all over the world, from vendors to buyers to contractors to suppliers, you name it. I'm excited to go there to really see where there's an opportunity or an opening for the world of, the offsite building. We talk a lot about tiny homes and modular and all that. It's really offsite in a factory. Elsewhere from, if you're building on site, that's been done forever. But this offsite thing, and it's not new, but it's having a resurgent, right? We've had manufactured homes being built in a factory literally from like the 50s and 40s, but the quality of them has not matched those that are built on site. So tell me a little bit more about what you see in terms of the trends for like this year that you'd like to really focus on. At least they're at the booth with Foldum and the folding project, and they're on.
To me, the thing that I like the best is the things that I'm not looking forward to, that I don't know exist. And when someone comes up with a new product that's made out of recycled material, that's a structural insulated panel that I never even knew existed, and I get excited about seeing those types of things. I know that every year in the outdoor area, they've got some sort of manufactured home that is on display, and they have various different ones. I know that it is a complicated thing, and a lot of times there's a certain type of pre-manufactured home that works really good. There's so many things that go into it, but really, like in California, the cost of labor and the cost of materials are so high now that you almost have to do something that's new, that's innovative, because if you just want to build a little ADU in your backyard, it could be $250,000, and it's hard to justify doing that for adding one extra room to a house for many people. And so if it's possible to get that down to under 100,000, under 50,000, that opens it up for literally hundreds of millions of people to be able to have that as an option. And so everything that can contribute, every little piece of new technology that is shown at this International Builder Show, it gives us ideas of how we can put it into something that could be available for the masses.
I love it. And what you're talking about is exactly why I've teamed up with Prefab Innovations. I spent about 3 years, seeing you and seeing a number of different builders at the shows. I was having my own journey of just helping people one-on-one consulting. Then I launched the Go Tiny Academy. And then I started realizing, selling these homes, designing these homes, that's an area I want to play in, but I don't want to build them myself. Like, I don't want someone to come to me like, will you build for me? Like, no, not my jam, right? I'm not a contractor, but there's a wonderful intersection for consultants like myself that can help connect the buyers to the builders. Well, I got so interested in helping the people building, and as a real estate investor and developer, I have developed one project from ground up in Florida. So I am officially a developer. We made a 5% return on investment. So I'm in that regards, a successful, not super successful. I know you're kind of wanting to be more in the 20% ROI, but we were going into COVID and we were just so excited to sell the house just to, we didn't know what was happening in the world. So my focus with Prefab Innovations is to provide something for those people that want something bigger. They want something where a movable tiny home is not allowed, and they want to appreciate the property value, so on and so forth, right? And so I teaming up with them, $100,000 for a 288 square foot. That includes the home and the development. Just want to let that percolate for a moment, because I'm with you too. I was like, that's great, $180,000. They're gorgeous, don't get me wrong, but a lot of families, there's different levels of budgets, right? There's premium driving the Bentley to, all the way down to maybe driving, I don't know, what would you say, the Toyota, the different levels of cars, different levels of houses, materials, all of those things come into mind, but people want something that's livable, quality built. Maybe they can put some of their own design spins on it, but not break the bank.
I totally agree. I'm on the quest for the Toyota level house that is perfectly livable and yet doesn't break the bank.
Exactly. So I do want to take a moment and hear a word from our sponsors. New Earth Development is a regenerative development company that builds self-sustaining, zero waste, net positive energy, carbon sequestering, eco homes and communities. There's so many people out there that want to develop community, but they need the capital and the know-how, how to develop pro formas, how to attract investors. And New Earth Development and its masterclass is a wonderful partnership. Prefab Innovations, modular homes for California. These modular homes are built in a factory, beautiful, high quality, built with SIP panels to meet that California building code. Also to meet Title 24. There is over 16 models starting at the 288 square feet with prices starting at $79,900. They also offer turnkey services that provide not only the build of the home, but also the development of the property. Typically, development costs anywhere from 20 to 30,000 for an accessory dwelling unit. Go Tiny Academy, your guide to a successful tiny home journey. Offering 6 comprehensive training modules, you can unlock the secrets of the 3 pillars to going tiny, where you can learn about the land, master those building standards and zoning laws, delve into the finance, define your budget, and explore financing options should you need them. Finding your ideal builder that is tailored to your location, design, budget, and financing needs is super important. You can enjoy 2 years of access to these invaluable modules and receive a complimentary 1-year membership to the Tiny Home Industry Association. Transform your dreams into reality and sign up at the Go Tiny Academy. So Ryan, thank you so much for joining me on this show. It's been an absolute joy and pleasure. And as we wrap up here, what are some of the things that you see as a trend for this year that you're really paying attention to?
Interesting question. I think that what I am paying attention to is what is working. And you see a lot of people advertising for certain products, but uh, whether or not they actually can be put in someone in your backyard is a totally different thing. And so what I'm trying to focus on for this next year is what actually is working, what projects are going in, what permits are being handed out, and amplifying that so that people can see, okay, this is something that I can actually put in my backyard. This is something that I could actually pull a permit on and have it raise the value of my house, and then grow from there and see how many people are doing something similar in all 50 states, because we get that asked all the time. That's the first question usually is, how does it work with the city? And the
Right.
answer is always every city's different.
It
But
depends.
but to be able to answer that question for people in every state, in every city, is my goal. And I'd love for people to be able to go to foldingproject.com and click on their state, click on their city, find out what the scenario is there, and find out what their options are. Because right now it's a Google search, or it's and you have to do the research, but it's out there. And so consolidating that, getting it in front of people is what I'm hoping to be able to accomplish. And it's exciting because all the people that we're meeting along the way that are actually doing something is encouraging, because the cost of living is just getting ridiculous. The amount of homeless people is getting ridiculous, and that trend is needs to change.
And I feel like this is a giant puzzle piece. And actually, we all hold, when I say we, builders, suppliers, financiers, you name it, all hold a piece of the puzzle. But what's interesting is with a new emerging market, we're all running around doing our own thing and to come together. And I love what the Tiny Home Industry Association has done is really focus on legalizing movable tiny homes. And what the American Tiny House Association started out initially with. But I think, it's tough when you don't have a lot of resources to run the nonprofit. So how do you see being funded, right? Because you are focused, you said the magic word, nonprofit. So how do you see being funded? How can people support you?
Well, we as a nonprofit want to have a platform that people can contribute to, and it be we want to go to different charity events and let people know what we're doing. Folding project right now is currently housing one family and two single individuals, and we want that to grow. We literally want to work with developers and make it part of projects where we can provide either discounted or free housing, working with other nonprofits. And we want to bring other nonprofits together. And I'm trying to build a board of directors right now, and we want people that have experience in this realm to have it grow. It seems like a trend with a lot of the homeless housing nonprofits is that they don't communicate with each other, and they have what they're working on, and that's it. I'd love to pool resources, pull people together, let them know about this rapidly deployable housing that's available, so that it seems like every shelter is full. And if they have the space for a car, then they have a space for a new house to go in. And same thing with churches. If they have a parking space, they have space for another house to go in. California just passed laws making that a new thing that's legal. And I want everyone to know that. And so as
Wait,
I'm
what did
going,
you say? If you put two, tell me about the 2 to 3 homes. We talked earlier, so we want to
oh,
make sure.
sure. I
We're
mean,
gonna just clap right there and like tell that part of the story. That if we fit 2 to 3 homes, so there we go.
yeah, so just with basic math, if you think about how many that they count for homeless in the United States, and then you think about the number of churches that are in the United States, which is about 300,000. If you put two or three houses at every church parking lot and have the church manage those two or three houses, it can cover the number of people that are counted that are sleeping on the streets. And it seems like a solution that would make everyone happy, because it's kind of got a built-in service provider, and it's in a place that's already established, already an empty parking lot most of the time. And it's something that, the not in my backyard people won't necessarily complain about as much as having like a big tented area, or people sleeping on the streets or on the sidewalk. It's a much more civilized solution, and a lot of people aren't even aware of it. I literally went to a church in Fullerton last week, and they asked about what was possible, and we talked about these new laws and getting the permits for it. And so we're going to highlight that process of us going it through with that church, and hopefully it can be redone in other places in every city all across the United States, and change the scenario that's happening on every street that we drive through in every city.
I love it. Such amazing focus. So really, what's working now? Churches can put tiny homes on properties, and really it's pulling the pieces of the puzzle of all the people in our industries together, the ones that are really dedicated and focused. I feel like those are the three trends for now. We could do a deeper dive and really tease that out, because I'd like to be on the board.
Excellent.
Yes.
I love that we're talking about this live, because that's what I was going to ask you next. And actually, I didn't fully answer your question about monetizing. We also want to get home builders that are participating in these kinds of affordable houses to we want to showcase them, and we want to have them help with advertising, because we're going to blast this out to the world, and we want everyone needs to be busy building houses, because there's not enough, and there needs to be newer solutions that are affordable.
It's true. In California alone, I just saw another report, 2.5 million. I'm like, wow. Just to give everyone a little perspective, most tiny home builders are probably somewhere between really small, like maybe 3 or 4 a year. That's more your boutique. Then you got those that are in the like 20 or something a year. Then you got some that are in the 100 a year. But we do not have anyone in the tiny home world building 1,000 a year. That really kind of lends itself more to the manufactured home industry. Many of those tiny home builders that are at the 100 probably do want to get to the bigger. But we just, if you ever do the math, 2.5 million divided by all the builders together, we don't have enough, right? Then there's all the building materials. So I'm with you on recyclability. We're going to be building something, whether it's really big footprint. The nice part about a small home is it's less materials, but even the materials that you do use, you want to make sure they're, in accordance with environmental laws, with house, what do you call that? Oh my gosh, house friendly. No, breathing.
Environmentally friendly, and yeah.
Environmentally friendly. You're healthy inside your home, right? There's a lot of people with mold sensitivities and health problems and illnesses because we've just got a lot more people on the planet. So, all
It's
right. Well, you've
true.
heard it here. I'm so excited to have you join the Tiny Home Lady Show. And Be sure to go to your social media and your website, which is
Foldingproject.com will get you there, and I'm sure in future shows we'll have more to show with links and whatnot. But I think right now, anyone that wants to come to International Builder Show, we'll put that link in to come, because that's what we're excited for. Today's the 7th of February. It's coming up the 27th, 8th, 9th, so it's like 19 days away.
woo, let's go. Thank you so much for watching the Tiny Home Lady Show. Now, if you're looking for more support on your tiny home journey, be sure to schedule your 15-minute tiny home discovery call with me, the Tiny Home Lady. I'm looking forward to hearing more about your tiny home dreams. Let's talk tiny.